Hello, my name is Justin Niles, and I will be guiding you through a video tutorial on how to create a basic HTML web page. Now, what is HTML? Essentially, HTML is exactly a web page. It is how an internet browser like Internet Explorer or Google Chrome displays a web page to the user, in this case you. So let's go ahead and get started with writing your first HTML web page. All you need to actually write HTML code is a basic text editor. If you're on Windows, go ahead and fire up Notepad right now. If you're on Mac, then you can use TextEdit, which is what I'll be using. So I'll go ahead and launch TextEdit and open it up. If you are using TextEdit like me on a Mac, then there is one thing that you have to do in order for HTML to be formatted properly. Go to Format and make plain text. Now we're ready to get started with writing some HTML code. So to get started, type exactly this. Type left angle bracket HTML and right angle bracket. Hit enter twice. Left angle bracket slash HTML right angle bracket. Now you're probably wondering what the heck these angle brackets mean. If you ever see these angle brackets in code, they represent what's called a tag. And for our purposes, all you have to know now is if you ever see a tag, in this case it's an HTML tag, somewhere down in the code there always has to be a /HTML, which stands for the closing tag. So this is the opening tag up at the top. Everything in between will be read as HTML, and then at the end you have a closing tag /HTML. So you always have opening and closing tags. Let's get started with actually making some basic information about our web page. Make the tag head and then create the closing tag head a couple lines below it. Inside head is where you specify some background information about your web page that you tell to the internet browser. In our case, let's go ahead and tell the browser what the title of our web page is going to be. So type the title tag and just write a title for your web page. I'm going to name it My First Web Page. And then, as always, make sure you put a closing tag, title, at the end of it. So, now that we have some basic information about our web page that we'll be telling to our browser, let's actually put some content onto our web page. To do so, we put it inside of the body. So create the body tag, go down a couple lines, create the body closing tag, and now we can actually start putting stuff onto our web page. So what I imagine for our basic web page is to create a giant header up at the top, followed by a couple of paragraphs of text beneath it. To put a header onto a web page, you have to use the H1 tag. H1 stands for header 1. There's H2, H3, H4, and H5. H1 is the biggest and boldest text pretty much that you can put onto a web page. So let's put, this is a header. And then make sure you put the closing tag for H1. And then let's just put a paragraph or two of text after the header. And all you need to do to put a paragraph is specify the P tag and say this is a paragraph of text. Put the closing P tag, and if you want you can do another paragraph, say this is a second paragraph. And you can do as many paragraphs as you want after that. I'll leave it at these two for now. In fact, what you have in front of you is a basic web page. And all we need to do now at this point is just save it in the proper format so that it'll be opened by our computer as an HTML document and then read by our browser and displayed inside Google Chrome or Internet Explorer. So go ahead and go to File, Save. And if you're on Mac and even possibly on Windows, you have to make sure that you can edit the extension of the file. So we're unchecking hide extension and then unchecking this box to default use.txt. Now go ahead and name your file whatever you want. I'll say My First Web Page, and then this is very important. Make sure you put .html at the end of it. This is going to tell your computer that you are going to be, if it ever tries to launch your file, it should be launched as an HTML file. save it, find where you saved it, and go ahead and open it up. And boom, as you can see, you have your first web page being displayed inside of an internet browser, in this case Google Chrome. So just so you can see what matches up with your web page, what we actually wrote, inside of the head we have the title. Now the title is not right on here, not immediately apparent, but if you look up at the top in the tabs, the title shows up there, My First Web Page. Next we have H1, the header. That's the big bolded section at the top of our web page. We have a first paragraph of text, and then we have a second paragraph of text that shows up on our web page. And just like that, in a couple of lines of code, you've written and launched your first HTML web page. If you're interested in finding more about HTML, I highly encourage you to go to www.codeacademy.com. And once you get inside, there are many tutorials for different programming languages. Select the HTML and CSS one, and right off the bat you'll have HTML basics, and then at the end of it you'll even get to build your own web page a little bit more in depth than what we just did. In addition to HTML, you'll also learn CSS, which is basically how you make HTML look pretty, how you can add color and style and pizzazz to all of your web pages. So thank you for watching my video tutorial, and best of luck making your web pages.